Hello and welcome to HanaMade. In this video I want to show you how I made jewelry Christmas tree in frame. So first you need a frame. I was fortunate to find this really nice one, golden like aged look frame in a thrift store. So I always make sure that it's in good shape. You want to make sure the joints are not damaged. You want to make sure there are no cracks. And when you look at the back, you want to kind of check for any kind of stains that may be possible, some kind of wet damage and possible mold. So then I cleaned it up. I removed it from the frame, cleaned it up, and I put Mod Podge on the front part. You can use any kind of glue. I just love Mod Podge because it's glue and varnish in one and it dries pretty fast. And I just know that it doesn't make items like paper or the fabric harder. By the way, I did make those jewelry Christmas trees before and I painted the background. However, I decided to go with this beautiful velvet green fabric. I did make it a little bit wet before and ironed it because it was kind of wrinkled. And then I made sure I flatten it completely. And then I will turn it upside down and weigh it with something heavy so it dries. Once that face is done, I cut it exactly to size. By the way, you can wrap it around the wooden board. However, you will need to make it a little bit smaller so it fits the frame. But I cut it exactly flush with the edge and I was able to squeeze it back in the frame. You can use any kind of fabric. Just do make sure that you don't get lazy with the glue applying because you want to make sure the fabric is glued equally, right? There is that danger that you will see it from the front side. Also, cardboard paper, what's it called? Variegated paper that is got little grooves on it. If you put fabric or paper on it, you will see it. So be careful. So here I am kind of hoping, wishful that it will fit exactly. And I think I got lucky. And that's a good opportunity to make it nice and kind of snug. So there are different options how to attach the backing. If you get lucky and there are staples in the frame originally, you can kind of just bend them and place them back in. However, I decided to remove them and then I used those little attachments that I'm totally blanking out of the name. I want to say offsets. They are different sizes and different depth. Some of them have one side with holes, some of them both. There are basically tons of different choices. I think it's called offset. And then I screw them to the frame to hold the backing. I think when you talk to framers, the rule would be every 4 inches to apply one. However, I risk it and I just put one on each side. Also, do make sure that you are using screw that is not as deep as the frame, right? You don't want the screw to come out on the front side. Then I clean the velvet with a tape. Velvet is kind of tricky because it can kind of attract different fluff and dirt. And then I played with my jewelry. So I had few different types. I had some laces like for dresses that have beads in it. And then I have some brooches and I grabbed those two necklaces that I wanted to combine together because even though they are flowers, I think they will look pretty on Christmas tree, but there is something about going with the theme, same theme, I mean. So this is very satisfying and enjoyable part, even though it can get time consuming. So picking out the jewelry you want to work with and then removing anything that you don't want to use. I admit it was quite time consuming and I enjoyed it. I was listening to music and I found it productive. However, before you pick up any jewelry, be kind of careful to look what the backing is like and if you can remove it. If you cannot remove it, it means it will be too raised, right? And you don't want to have massive blob of glue pieces uneven. But that is something that you will learn eventually when you work with it, when you make few trees. I also do recommend placing all the jewelry pieces down first and then gluing them, so you know how it looks like, you don't make a mistake. However, more you do those trees, you will realize that it's pretty easy and any gaps can be filled. So for removing the backing and the chains and the connecting chains, I use pliers. It's nose pliers, they're special jewelry pliers as well. I do have pretty strong fingers and I was able just to manage one, so I'm right-handed. However, sometimes I work with two nose pliers, one in each hand. So that gives me kind of the best grip to open up any kind of rings, right? Most jewelry is connected with a ring that can be opened. So I hold one side in right hand and the other side in left, and I pull them to opposite directions. By the way, since I'm also frugal, of course, I'm keeping all the rings and leftovers and I'm going to use them for something else. So as I mentioned, this is very satisfying but can be time consuming as well. And when you are picking jewelry for your Christmas tree, just kind of pay attention to what may and may not work. The best thing is if you actually know who you are making the jewelry tree for and you know what you want to pick. So once I had all the parts prepared, I was able to start placing them. So I have glue gun, I have extra sticks. This is the edging for the tree, which it doesn't have to be edging, it could be garland as well. And then I had the flowers. So I started with little stem on the bottom and the top, so I knew how big the tree itself will be. I was playing with this, I don't know the word, I guess embellishment for fancy dresses. So it's like ribbon that has good beads attached to it. You can call it cheating, but I just find it efficient product to work with, so I save myself some time. So it's very important to do the top and bottom first so you know how big the tree will be. When I'm using those ribbons with beads, you can do different layers. You can do edging or you can do like 3 parts of a tree, right? Like if you imagine evergreen tree that is goes down from biggest to smallest, almost like 3 triangles. You can also turn them into like ribbons, but be careful if you can glue them being flat and if you can turn them. So these beads I wasn't able to make nice curve, so that's why I opted for making this kind of straight line. Also, if you are using any kind of beads that you pull apart, make sure you always put blob of glue to the end because you don't want the piece to fall apart on you, right? You can either do it now, so like I did, and then I also added bead to the top. Basically the glue, even though it's not completely transparent, it is not all that visible because there will be many beads, right, added to it. So I just let you watch what I'm doing, but basically this is really the most fun part of the whole project and you can have tons of fun with it. Just do make sure that you give it some thought beforehand. Once you glue items, you will not be able to rip it off, even though sometimes you can. um, Also think about what you want to add and where you want to add the items. The one great part about this project is that it is truly something that is supposed to be almost like rich looking and more is merrier in this case. I usually say less is more, but in this case, more jewelry pieces you add to it, kind of more festive it will look. So I know that I kind of got a little carried away with glue gun and I made few extra blobs and then I was able to camouflage them with more pieces. As you can see, I'm quite brave and I'm just gluing the pieces. However, you can lay them down, take a picture, and then copy it, or you can lay them down on a, like a board or paper next to you, and then basically transfer it slowly one by one on the frame. I don't know if you can see exactly how really nice the green velvet is. I'm very pleased, and it was definitely a really good choice for this frame and this jewelry. When it comes to jewelry, I don't mix gold and silver. I actually really dislike it. However, in this case, it's very festive, it's pretty, and super shiny. I think it looks great. So, um, also, I mentioned that I picked flowers for this tree, which could be strange, I guess. Christmas is all about winter and Santa Claus and elves and religious symbols, but I respect Mother Nature and I love flowers, any kind of flowers, and I do think it also adds a little warm touch to the holiday theme picture. Really, I love that. I'm very pleased. There were little beads attached to the flowers itself, or the way the necklace was attached, and I decided not to take them off. I think it's probably one of the more popular American words, eclectic, and that's exactly what this piece is, even though it is somewhat matchy. I hope you can see how nice it's coming out. So when I'm looking at it already, my eyes are going all over the place and I'm thinking of the whole piece. And even though the tree itself is quite thick with jewelry and beads, I'm not sure if I like the contrast of the background, that it's plain, or if I should add something. As I mentioned, I have done these a few years in the past, and I did like attaching little beads, sort of like stars or sparks. Right now I was gluing that end of the beaded lace. And also make sure that nothing falls off. So once I glue it down, I turn it upside down and I pat it on it a little bit. There's nothing more embarrassing for an artist than a customer purchasing something from you, and when they grab it or when they bring it home, a piece falls off. It's quite embarrassing and it shouldn't happen. And I always try to make everything almost perfect. I do want people to like my pieces and admire the work, and also know that I'm trying to make it long lasting. So now I'm attaching the little stars, I guess. I had to be very careful to make sure that I didn't do big blob of glue gun. It seems that if you put the glue on the bead itself, you're not going to make as much mess, but you may burn your fingers little. So either use tweezers or any other tool, or be brave and put little tiny blob right on the fabric. It worked for me. By the way, there are different sizes of glue guns, and there is one little one. Also, when I mentioned before E6000, there are little tiny cartridges, little tiny glues that have small opening, and they are very easy to work with when you use small items. So I can see right now that even though I didn't put much, the little beads on the background add a lot, kind of like extra spark and make it pretty, again, festive. And I'm turning it upside down again, making sure it's all fine. So I am very pleased. It was fantastic. I'm very happy how it turned out, and I made a few more. I will make videos as well, but this is another idea. If you do like do it yourself, if you like being crafty and creative, and you have somebody in your family or you have friends that would appreciate this is really good present. If you want to go kind of more long lasting, you can always use shadow box for that, or one of those deep frames. So I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you for watching Hannah Made.